Hi everyone and welcome back to Bonnie Astrology. Today we're discussing the beautiful new moon happening in the sign of Cancer on the 17th of July 2023 and what it means for your zodiac sign. So as always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for regular astrology updates, and if you want to contact me, the information is listed in the description. I am going to be taking reading bookings again. I have been on a hiatus and it's gone on a little bit longer than I anticipated. Astrologically speaking, if you're interested, I have a fixed T-square going on that is including both the ruler of my 6th house and a planet in the 6th house, and I've had to put health first. So I have been on a hiatus and limiting the amount of readings that I have been taking, but I am going to be bringing them up again for the end of July going into August. So if you want to book a slot with me, the information is listed in the description. That is the only place that you can get me, and also I will never reach out to you asking you if I can read for you. Those are scammers. There are a lot of fake scammers on Instagram. There may be some in the comments. I will not be soliciting readings ever. So whether you follow me on here or on Instagram, just know that I will not be reaching out to you and offering one in any case, even if you're a friend of mine. So let's jump into this new moon in Cancer. So this is happening on the 17th of July 2023, and typically with new moons, you can feel them beforehand and you can feel them afterward, but you can sort of feel the momentum building, I think, to what this new moon is going to mean for you in the few days prior and in the few days after. You can sort of get a sense of what might be taking place, but a lot of the time with lunations we can look at the week before and the week after for key events that may be transpiring or inspiring the new beginnings of the new moon. So it's happening at 24 degrees of Cancer, so look to your chart and see where Cancer is, what house is Cancer for you. If you're not sure, do watch for your rising sign because I will be going into it in the horoscope portion of this video. But if you have anything in particular at 24 degrees of Cancer, looking really at 23, 24, 25 degrees of Cancer specifically, you'll be most impacted by this new moon. There may be some sort of new beginning pertaining to that planet. So if you don't have the means to get an astrologer and you really want to know what it means and you have 23, 24, 25 degrees of Cancer in your chart, you know, a planet or an angle, you can just simply Google what that angle or what that planet represents and you can get a feel of the themes that might be beginning for you in your life around this new moon or what new changes you might be inspired to make. Now the 17th of July is a huge day because that is the day that the nodes are going to be shifting signs. So the North Node is going to be leaving Taurus and entering Aries. They always go in reverse with signs, and this means that for the next year and a half you're going to be finding yourself going in new directions in the Aries house of your chart, and you may be finding significant fated events taking place in that sector as well. And do pay attention also if you have any personal planets or angles at Aries or Libra, these are going to be impacted by the nodal shift the most. I do have a video on that, so you can check that out. The link will be posted below because it is going to be very important for the next year and a half to know what direction you're going in, because the North Node always points us in the direction of our soul's growth, what we need to be doing, the direction we're going, and where we're going to be experiencing destined changes. But this new moon, any new moon always brings a chance for a new beginning. Now, in the sign of Cancer, this new beginning may be to do with a property matter. It might be to do with buying a new home, selling a home. It can also be to do with family, and it can be to do with ancestry as well. So this new moon is actually a really nice time to begin some sort of project looking into your ancestry, connecting with extended family, connecting with distant relatives, getting in touch with people who live on the other side of the world but are family, for example, visiting family. This can be a great time to bring family together, so to have a family party can be a great thing to do under this new moon. And it can be really nice as well to initiate some sort of new beginning, paying homage to your past. So perhaps you want to begin a new project within the home, and maybe for some of you that are witchy in nature, this could be starting an altar where you're paying homage to your grandparents or something like that. Or it could be that you're making changes within your home, you know, you're decorating. And with it being a new moon, perhaps you're looking for fresh change. So particularly with Mars being in Virgo, maybe you're looking to declutter your space and to make room for new beginnings in the home, to bring in new energy to the home. Because a lot of the time, if you look into the magic of decluttering your space, it's because it is making energetic space in your life to allow new energy to enter. So maybe you need new energy in your home. And this is particularly poignant because the new moon is going to be opposite Pluto. So we know with new moons, they bring an opportunity for a new beginning. But opposite Pluto, this might require some change and some deep transformation. Now, we're very familiar at this point. It's been a long haul of Pluto being in Capricorn. We did have that brief stint of Pluto in Aquarius. But Pluto is back in Capricorn. It's at the anaretic degree, which adds to the message that maybe there is some deep, profound transformation going on. And this may be purely psychological. This might be that when it comes to home, when it comes to family, when it comes to the past, when it comes to your ancestry, whatever it is, you might be ready to make some psychological changes, to do some healing, to perhaps see a therapist, to perhaps work through something in the past that you had suppressed or you tried to run away from. Now might be the time when you want to go deeper into this with Pluto, because Pluto is an incredibly psychological planet, and it is a time where we usually do a little bit of digging and a bit of introspection because we can't quite ignore it. Pluto likes to expose secrets after all. You might be aware of the changes that are taking place already because Pluto has crossed this point before, and you may feel strongly inspired to let go of something in order to facilitate a new beginning in your life. Now, you might be letting go of something in the Capricorn part of your chart to facilitate a new beginning in the Cancer part of your chart. But it does appear that with the opposition to Pluto, this may be also making changes when it comes to a goal or career for yourself in order to facilitate more time at home, more time with family, or more time for rest. And you may be that bit more determined to work through something from the past in order to facilitate that new beginning. So whether that is that you're actually making space in your home by decluttering, getting rid of a lot of things that you no longer need so that somebody else can use them, because that's the energy of transformation with Pluto. You're not just throwing them in the bin necessarily. You may be donating them or giving some things away in order to create energetic space for something new. Or it might be that you are psychologically letting something go in order to make space for something new. Feels like maybe you're possibly transforming something and creating a bit of alchemy when it comes to this new beginning as well. The new moon is trining Neptune, and this is Neptune's always associated with interesting dreams, so do pay attention to what you're dreaming about at this time. With Venus going retrograde in Leo and Venus being in the shadow period at this new moon, it is entirely possible that you're dreaming of exes, you're dreaming of people from the past that you loved, whatever capacity that love was in, whether that was a friendship, that could be someone from your distant past, someone you grew up with, someone that you had in your family, maybe someone who's passed on. But you could be having some very sentimental dreams about people from the past, spirits from the past, memories from the past. And your dreams may be quite psychic, or they may be quite prophetic in some cases. I say, for example, you're dreaming of someone and then they want to reconnect with you during the Venus retrograde period. That is entirely possible. But this also is dreaming up a fantasy. So with this being a new moon and it presenting an opportunity for a new beginning, a new start, a new project, a new relationship, with the trine to Neptune, it is entirely possible that whatever you're beginning at this time does have some element of fantasy in it. This can bring heightened intuition and psychic ability. So you may feel under this new moon that you're more inspired than usual to draw tarot cards or to perform divination or just to listen to your intuition during meditation. This does foretell great creativity. So any project you're starting around this time is both intuitively led and also creatively inspired. Do mind that this is a new moon in Cancer, and Cancer is an energy which can be incredibly moody. So the fact that it's trine Neptune as well is giving the sense that people may be incredibly sensitive and incredibly emotional around this time. So you may feel more prone to tears. You might find yourself laughing hysterically one moment and then crying the next. You might find that you're really riding the roller coaster of emotions, and others are too. So you may be connecting with others quite deeply around this time with the trine to Neptune, because Neptune is a planet as well of unconditional love. So you might be sharing with others and they sharing with you, and it being kind of cozy with the Cancer energy. As Cancer does rule the past, and we have that opposition to Pluto, you might be crying about something that's happened before in order to heal from it, because the trine to Neptune is more supportive than a square to Neptune. You're not trying to escape it necessarily with this full new moon. You might be sort of, engaging in fantasy and creativity, but I feel that you're maybe more leaning into the feel it to heal it energy with the trine to Neptune. And you may also turn it into art with the trine to Neptune. Now, speaking of moody and fluctuations of moods, there's a sextile to Uranus. So this does add to the moody aspect of this new moon. Emotions can come and go really quickly. And Uranus adds a little bit of excitement and the opportunity to do something a little different, to try something new, to think outside the box. It's very innovative, it's very genius. So you might connect with people who you view to be, or may be viewed by society as a little out there. Someone who seems a little bit different, but you're finding yourself really connecting and getting on very well. Particularly maybe this is the black sheep of the family and you're finding actually we've more in common than I thought, and you're getting along much better. And then maybe you're healing family lines with the new moon in Cancer. But new beginnings may be initiated incredibly quickly and they may develop incredibly quickly. However, because this is Uranus, there is a sense of mood fluctuation. So you might feel inspired to do one thing one moment and something else the next. I'm going to be doing a couple of cards for this new moon in Cancer to see if we can get an overall feel about this new moon. And I like this one in particular because this week I actually got to connect with very distant relatives from Los Angeles, and one of them I believe has a master's in meditation. He's a professor in Los Angeles, and it really played into this new moon in Cancer of connecting with family, extended family, and also the sextile to Uranus, people who are doing things a little bit differently to maybe what some of the family are doing here, thinking outside the box. And the trine to Neptune was that meditation aspect. It was lovely. It was awesome. Really nice people. So let's get a new moon. Ooh. The High Priestess. Okay, magical. I sometimes find when the High Priestess comes out, it's definitely a card of trusting your intuition, leaning into your intuition. Dreams are very psychic around this time. You're very tapped into your intuition. You're leading with your intuition. You're feeling very connected to the divine with this new moon in Cancer. And this is a nod to do so, to lead with intuition, to trust the process. With the trine to Neptune, it is focusing on things like the spiritual, what you can't see, what you can intuitively feel, going with your heart, going with your emotions, rather than necessarily feeling too grounded in reality or very practical, although that is important. This is about leading with your intuition and paying attention to your dreams, both in your sleep or your dreams of what you want to achieve, for example. But I also feel with the High Priestess that there's a little bit of a mystery around this new moon that may come to light, or it may not be quite time to come to light, because sometimes when you read and the High Priestess comes up, it's a sign of don't go there. There's some things that have to be revealed in time, and you may not, if you knew about them, make the right choices. So there's a bit of a mystery with this new moon too. So let's get into what it means for each of the individual zodiacs. Timestamps are listed below. I hope you have a beautiful new moon. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Aries, welcome to the new moon in Cancer for your sign. So Aries, this new moon is happening in your sector of home, family, your foundations. It's also to do with women in general, the mother, femininity, and it can also be a place of self-care. So there's a new beginning happening here for you, Aries. Now, this seems to me that for a lot of you, this could be buying a home, moving, changing your home in some way, shape or form, maybe adding to it, maybe redecorating. And for others of you, this can be a new beginning to your family, so a new addition to the family, or some sort of family get-together could be happening around the time of this new moon. And you could perhaps be making more of an effort to connect with your family. This can also be that you're beginning some sort of project to connect to your ancestry, learning more about your family, connecting with distant relatives, trying to figure out your roots, leaning into your roots, your ancestry, and where you come from. Now, what's interesting, Aries, is that it is opposite Pluto in your 10th house. So perhaps you are deciding that you need to make some sort of change when it comes to your career or a goal in order to facilitate this new beginning in your home. This could be that perhaps there's some sort of change when it comes to your work public life versus your home and private life balance, how you're, how that is lining up for you, if there's some changes that need to be made. And I'm thinking with this new moon, there probably are some changes that need to be made in order to facilitate the new beginning that you want in this area. So maybe you are changing your work structure so that you can work from home more, or perhaps you're taking time away from work so that you can be with family at this time, or perhaps you are changing a long-term goal when it comes to a home or property matter. I do like that this is trining Neptune in your 12th house, because I feel like you're healing. I feel as though you are letting go, and I feel as though you are going in flow with this new moon. And the sextile to Uranus in the 2nd house means that you may be having to make some quick financial decisions when it comes to a home, family, or property matter, but you may be excited to do this. You may be excited to try something new when it comes to home, when it comes to family. Perhaps you are going to be redecorating, and this is requiring a bit of money, but you're excited about the change. And perhaps as well, Aries, you might be just feeling a little bit more on the introverted side and wanting to spend a little bit more time at home. With the trine to Neptune and Saturn being in your 12th house, I could see a lot of you, if you're going to invest in something new for your home, it may be a new bed, or it may be revamping or doing up your bedroom and your sleep space so that you have better sleep, Aries. Maybe you're decluttering your sleep space so that you have better sleep space, bedroom. Let's have a little look. Okay, we have the World for you, Aries. So with Pluto being in your 10th house, I do feel that you are perhaps letting go of some long-term goal. Maybe you have achieved some long-term goal, and this could be linked to family. So this could be linked with the World card to maybe distant relatives, to maybe traveling. You could be wrapping up something in terms of your career, a goal you've been working very hard on and you're feeling very proud. And this is now bringing more time to spend with the family, to spend in the home, or even maybe you're moving home. And if you're moving home, it might be to a different country, Aries, or you're thinking of spending more time in a different country, perhaps getting a property abroad, or perhaps spending time visiting family or something like that. But that is what I have for you, Aries, and I will talk to you soon. Hi Taurus, welcome to the new moon in Cancer for your sign. So Taurus, this new moon is happening in your 3rd house, and this is all to do with the mind. So it's to do with your mindset, your thought process, the way that you communicate, communication with others in general. It can also be linked to siblings if you have them, neighbors, and it can be linked to your neighborhood and also your early education. So, if you're like 10 watching this, I don't know what you're doing, but sure, this could apply to you. But this new moon is happening here for you, and it is forming an opposition with Pluto back in your 9th house, which is to do with higher education. It's to do with your philosophy. It is to do with your religious perspectives. It's to do with traveling, and it's to do with your higher perspective on life in general. So your belief systems and things like that. So what I'm seeing for you, Taurus, is that there's a new beginning in the way that you think. For some of you, this could be a new creative project when it comes to writing. This could be that you're writing a book, writing a poem, writing a blog, and this is something that is perhaps inspired by your change in perspective when it comes to religion, when it comes to philosophy, when it comes to politics, when it comes to basically your viewpoints of the world, or perhaps the travel that you've been doing. So you might be writing a book, for example, on the law in your country, because the 9th house is very much to do with higher education. So you could be writing a book that's very important for your education. You could be writing your thesis. This could be a time when you're maybe handing in your thesis. This could be a time when you are writing about your philosophical belief systems, or it could just be that if you're not writing any of this down, Taurus, it could be that you're just changing your mindset, you're changing the way that you think, you're changing the way that you communicate, and this is based on the transformation you've been doing when it comes to your belief systems and your view of the world, or perhaps a trip you've been taking or are taking around the time of this new moon. But it looks as though perhaps you want to think differently, you want to challenge your mindset because something is no longer working, something needs to be countered. I guess if you've been having repetitive or obsessive thought patterns with Pluto going through the 9th house, sometimes obsessions with, your beliefs can become very problematic at times. So perhaps you're counteracting something that you've been very obsessed on, or you've been working through with a new viewpoint possibly. But it does feel for a lot of you Taurus that this could be a new beginning when it comes to your education. You could be taking a short class, you could be studying something new, reading a new book that changes your life and changes your perspectives or challenges your perspectives, or it could be that you are maybe taking a workshop in order to learn something new. It feels as though that if you're doing this with other people, you're very supported because it is forming a trine with Neptune in your 11th house of friends and your social circles. It is also sextiling Uranus in your first house of self. So I feel that whatever this new project is, Taurus, for you, it feels very aligned with who you are, who you're becoming, the changes you've been going through since 2018 when Uranus moved into your sign. And you're feeling very supported by the people in your circles around you. You're feeling very connected to like-minded people, probably quite spiritual people around you, or people who are very loving and compassionate and kind, or supporting the new way that you're thinking, the new way you're communicating. This can be a new beginning in a relationship with a sibling or a neighbor or a cousin or something like that. Something came out. It was the Page of Pentacles. I do see a lot of you beginning a new project. A new project, it might start small, but it might get much bigger. It feels very true to you. It feels very true to your inner child, I want to say, as well, around the time of this new moon, Taurus. It feels very true to what you wanted to do when you were younger, and your little you's feeling very proud and cheering you. That's what I have for you. Hope you have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Gemini, welcome to the new moon in Cancer for your sign. So Gemini, this is happening in your second house of money. So I'm thinking for a lot of you Geminis, there might be new money coming your way. Perhaps you have a new way of making money. Perhaps you are beginning a new project that is going to bring in some new income for you, whether this is something you're doing on the side, whether this is to do with changes within your job. And I do think this could be to do with changes within your career, Gemini, because it is forming a supportive sextile to Neptune in your 10th house of career. So for a lot of you, it feels as though you are going to be supported by your work in terms of making new money, or perhaps if this is a side business with Neptune, it could be something that's very creative, very spiritual, very inspired, and maybe quite fluid. So maybe something that you can do here and there, maybe something you can do from time to time. It doesn't have to be particularly structured. Now, it is going to be opposite Pluto in your 8th house, which is to do with joint finances. So when it comes to your money, Gemini, there seems to be a little bit of balance required with Pluto being in your 8th house. So if you have a spouse or someone you're in joint finances with, this new beginning for you when it comes to making your own money may be linked to changes when it comes to the money that you make through others, or you perhaps make that comes to you through other people. So for example, that could be money that comes to you from the government. Say you're starting a new job, say you're starting a new career path and you were on benefits. This is now changing. Perhaps you're letting go of the benefits and you're now making your own money, standing more on your own 2 feet with the money that you are making, Gemini. That could be just an example of how this may be working out. You might be letting go of a loan. You might be paying off a loan at this time. You may be paying off some property, or perhaps you are now becoming the one in your relationship who is more well off. So this could bring new financial changes to you. I do feel with the trine to Neptune that when it comes to your career and your long-term goals and your public image, you are feeling pretty good about this change. The sextile to Uranus in your 12th house makes me feel like there is some sort of ending going on for you at this time, and it could be quite quick, or it could be taking off quite quickly. It could be feeling kind of sudden. Or it might be that something is coming to light quite suddenly where you're now like, oh, I'm going to be making money, or I'm going to make more money out of this. With Pluto going through the 8th house, it could also be to do with an inheritance of some kind making its way to you that is going to be changing your financial situation. Or it could just be money that is coming through taxes or something like that, Gemini. We have the Moon card, so I feel like there's something being revealed for you for sure. With Neptune being in the equation and also Uranus transiting your 12th house, I do feel like something might come to light. The 12th house is engaged, the 8th house is engaged in this particular new moon for you, Gemini. So I do feel like something might be coming to light for you around this time linked to your finances. linked to maybe something you didn't know, or maybe something's coming to light, or maybe even an idea is coming to you that you didn't know existed within you until this new moon, and you're inspired to go with it. That is what I have for you, Gemini. I hope you have a good one, and I will talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Cancer, welcome to the new moon in your sign. So Cancer, this new moon is happening in your first house, meaning that it's all about you. How you style yourself, how you feel about yourself, what you do, what you think, your approach to life, your identity, the labels you give yourself, your body, your physical appearance, all that kind of stuff. This is where your new beginnings are happening. So whether or not that's that you want to change up your look, you want to try a new hairstyle, you want to change the way you style yourself, these are all things you might be considering under this new moon. Now, just a word of caution. Venus is going to be going retrograde quite shortly, so if you want to make changes to your appearance, it's best that they are quite minor rather than huge changes to your appearance, you know, because Venus retrograde is right around the corner and you might change your mind. Venus is in shadow. You might feel a bit differently about them. Say you wanted to get a huge tattoo. This just might not be the time. But if you want to make subtle changes to your appearance or things that you can reverse, say you want to get hair extensions that you know you can have taken out again, to try those, or say you want to play around with temporary piercings, you know, the ones that you can buy, something like that. Just trying something a little bit different with your appearance, but also making it somewhat temporary so that you can change it if you don't like it later. That's all I'm saying. There is a sextile to Uranus, so I do think that you might be feeling a little bit like you want to do something very different with your look. You want to try a completely different style, but as I say, you may regret it because it might change quite quickly. You know, with Uranus going through Taurus, you might feel very differently about the things that you spend your money on. We all may feel that way. We might really want something one minute and then the next look at it and think, oh, why did I spend my money on this? You know, it just, you can change your mind. It can fluctuate with whatever changes you want to make to your physical body. So if you want to try something new, just be mindful. It's good to sort of err on the side of caution, nothing too permanent, I would say, Cancer, if you want to make changes to your physical body or your appearance or something like that. There is an opposition with Pluto in your 7th house, so I feel like your relationships are going through changes at this time. There might be some sort of change happening within your marriage, within your business partnership, within your, you know, romantic relationship. Maybe they are making a big change, and this is in some way inspiring a new beginning for you. Or perhaps this is making you pull the focus back in on yourself and say, right, well, what do I want? What do I want to do with this information? What do I want to do with this change? Your partner could be telling you something that you really didn't see coming because it's Pluto. It could be a secret that they've got to share with you, or a business partner is making huge changes and you're being asked here, Cancer, to focus on yourself and what it is that you want and how you want to. You know, your relationship with yourself is the most important relationship that you will have in this lifetime, because you will be there with yourself through thick and thin consistently. So bear in mind that that is the most important relationship you have, Cancer, and use that information as you will, because it will be important around the time of this new moon to think about what it is that you do want. And I like this because I feel as though with the trine to Neptune and the sextile to Uranus, it's as if with Uranus being in your 11th house, it's as if you're supported by your friends. It's like you're supported by your social networks, the groups, and you may also be inspired to start pursuing a wish that you have for the future, an aspiration you have for the future, something you really want to make happen. The trine to Neptune means it could be to do with travel. It could be to do with long distance travel, taking a trip. Maybe you want to take a trip by yourself. Your partner can't go, so you're wanting to go on a trip alone. Although I do feel with the sextile to Uranus, you could definitely rally people around you or make friends on a trip if you were to do that. But I do think there seems to be there's some significant change going on in terms of your partner's life, your marriage, your relationship. Maybe they've got some big changes happening and you're feeling like, okay, well, what about me? It's the energy that I'm getting. What about me? What do I want? This is your time, Cancer, to initiate something new for yourself. So we have the Tower. Okay, so I feel like you're wanting to rebuild on something. Maybe there has been a crumbling of some sort of foundation. Yeah, we have the star underneath, so that's beautiful. You may be wanting to rebuild. You may be wanting to change. You may be wanting to heal from the changes that you've been going through, the foundations that have crumbled, Cancer. You're wanting to build something a lot more solid. So just bear in mind that solid foundations take time. And although we have a sextile to Uranus, it's best not to be too impulsive. And things, you know, relationships, homes, jobs, they're all more likely to last if they're very true to who we are, because you can only keep a masquerade up for so long. So perhaps you have found that you're in a job where you're thinking, I don't get to be myself, and this is not what I really wanted. And this new moon is calling you to recalibrate and say, right, well, what do I want, so I can build a foundation that matches who I am. That's what I have for you, Cancer. I hope you have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Leo, welcome to the new moon in Cancer. So Leo, this is happening in your 12th house. So you might be feeling around the time of this new moon, Leo, that you want to embark on a little chapter, or maybe a long chapter, I don't know, but you might want some time alone. You might want to take some time for solitude. You might want to take some time to retreat. So whether that is that you're going to go on a retreat on your own, whether that's that you're going to shut the door and hide away for a few days, whether that is that you're going to be embarking on something maybe quite spiritual that requires solitude. It feels as though, Leo, you're really taking it quite quietly around the time of this new moon. So new moons in the 12th house typically represent a little period where we do spend time on our own or in solitude. Sometimes that can be voluntarily, sometimes not so. Sometimes this can be because maybe you have a little bout of illness, like you're a bit sick, you're feeling a bit under the weather, and you want to hide out at home for a few days. Maybe this is that you're just feeling a little bit tired of everyday life and you want to retreat and you want to heal and you want to look inward and feel a bit reflective. These periods have their purpose. It could also be that there's some sort of ending happening in your life, or you're realizing that in order to move forward, Leo, you're going to have to end a particular chapter with this new moon happening in the sign of Cancer. Now, it is opposite Pluto in your 6th house, so maybe what you're ending is a particular way of working, a particular fitness system that you've built for yourself, a way of working out. A way of eating is changing. Perhaps something is going on with a pet and maybe you're wanting to spend some time in solitude with your pet. Or perhaps there's changes at work and you're just feeling a bit like you need to pull back, you need to heal, you need to quiet the mind, you need to reassess a few things and figure out what you would like to close out in your life, Leo, because there does seem to be a little bit of a push and pull dynamic with Pluto in the 6th house of the transformations that are happening when it comes to health and fitness and work, and perhaps how you're feeling on the inside. So this is also a good time to take into consideration new practices, perhaps spiritual practices when it comes to your mental health. So maybe you're going to start meditating daily for a week and see how you feel, whether that's for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. You're maybe engaging with a new spiritual practice so that you feel better and seeing how that helps transform you physically. If you're having particular physical pains, maybe muscle aches or something like that, as a result of the stress of the mental health that you're experiencing at this time, and you're realizing you want to incorporate some new spiritual practices into your wellness ethos, basically, Leo. Now, there is going to be a beautiful trine to Neptune in your 8th house. And I think this one's interesting because it is to do with joint finances, of course, so there's a financial component to this. Maybe there is going to be some sort of change happening for you, like you're closing out something when it comes to a property matter, a financial matter that you're involved in with somebody else. There could be an ending pertaining to that, but it feels as though you're sort of happy to let it go or let it flow. Or maybe you're noticing something's flowing a little bit, so you're deciding you want to take a bit of a break because you feel like it can, if it's financial, say your mortgage or your property or something like that. But this can also be psychological. So you could be doing some psychological work, Leo. I wouldn't be surprised, with Saturn and Neptune both in the 8th house, you could be doing some, you could be committing to something psychological, whether that's seeing a therapist once a week, or you could be doing something, that's the Saturn regimented side, but there's also the Neptune woo-woo side where you might be, looking into alternative forms of healing and getting to the root of your issues. And it feels as though the trine is saying that perhaps whatever you're doing psychologically, it's making you a bit sleepy, so you're wanting to take some time out to sleep or rest. I do think you could be quite sleepy around the time of this new moon, Leo, so do rest up if you need to. There is a sextile to Uranus in your 10th house, so when it comes to work, when it comes to your career, I feel as though if you're taking a couple of days off, you feel like you can. Perhaps things are a bit up and down when it comes to your career with Uranus. There's a lot of changes. There's a lot of restructuring when it comes to your work and your professional life, and you're really wanting to take a couple of days out, and you feel like you can with this being a supportive aspect, or work is saying that you can. Work is supporting you taking a bit of a break. So let's go. King of Cups. I was going to say it could be a key male figure in your life is also supporting you taking a break or healing something. The King of Cups, Leo, it's very much suggesting that you are either confiding in a water sign, so Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, or you're really leaning into your own emotions, really taking care of your emotions, nurturing yourself, choosing emotional maturity. And that means that you're perhaps deciding, right, well, I've ran away from this long enough, I want to lean into this. Maybe you need a good cry, maybe you need a good sob, maybe you're just feeling a little bit directionless. We are heading towards a Cardinal Grand Cross, so something is going to have to give for a lot of people. And I think for you it's okay to just lean into the emotions for a bit and see how you're really feeling. Leo, with this King of Cups, how are you feeling? What's going on with you? And perhaps this is also suggestive that a key water sign might be popping up around this time, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, that is going to help you when it comes to the healing that you're doing. They could be quite a spiritual person, or they could be quite someone who's quite in touch with their emotions, as the water signs typically are. So that's what I have for you, Leo. I hope you have a good one, and I will talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Virgo, welcome to the new moon in Cancer. So Virgo, this is happening in a very friendly sector for you. This is the new moon for you linked to groups, friendships, your social networks. So I think for a lot of you Virgos, there could be some new friends on the horizon. There could be new friends that you are meeting maybe through a relationship, maybe through a partnership. It could also be that perhaps you are meeting them while you are traveling, while you're taking a trip, or through university, or through college, or through higher education, or something like that, because of the Trine Neptune and the sextile to Uranus. But I feel like you're maybe aligning with a new group of people. Maybe you're, networking and meeting new friends. They could be friends that are maybe quite interested in technology. They could be friends who are maybe quite interested in the future. They could be humanitarians. But I feel as though there's a new beginning happening in your friendship sector. So maybe there's a new team you're joining, and you might find these people are people that you really feel quite inspired by, you really like. You just feel like there's a good flow of energy between the pair of you, the lot of you. And you could be feeling as well quite inspired to participate in activism, to participate in a humanitarian venture. And it could also be that you're making your way towards a goal or a wish that you really want to come true. So when we have a new moon in the 11th house, Virgo, I always say to whatever sign it is, this is a great one to make a vision board. This is a great one to manifest. This is a great one to think about the future and how you want it to look, and sort of realign. Because if you're not sort of thinking every now and again about how you want the future to look, you're not necessarily going that way. You need to have your eye on the prize, so to speak, and know the direction that you want to go in, rather than thinking so much about the past, or whether thinking so much about the present. It's good to have a direction to pivot towards. So there is an opposition with Pluto in your 5th house. So maybe you're dating someone and they don't quite get it. If you're in a new team, maybe the person you're dating is thinking, I don't understand this, or your children don't necessarily understand what you're going toward, because with oppositions there's sort of like a standoff energy. So maybe you're feeling a little bit as though the person you're dating isn't so fond of your friends or your new friends, or maybe you're finding that perhaps you are just wanting to be friends now with someone that you dated. Maybe they still like you that way. Or it could be that perhaps you're really feeling good about this new group, but you're not necessarily feeling as though you can be creative with them. Or it might even be that there's a bit of drama involved with them from time to time, Virgo. Or it might be that perhaps you're finding that if you have children, you just want to embark on some sort of project, or you want to connect with people or be more social rather than spend all your time with your kids or something like that. And there's a need to figure out how to balance that time. So we do have the 8 of Pentacles, Virgo, and this is saying that perhaps there is a need to be patient with whatever new beginning is initiating in your life. I know we have a sextile to Uranus, so things can take off quite quickly, but you're not necessarily a sign that wants to move at 1,000,000 miles an hour unless you have Aries placements. But I do get the sense with this card that you're perhaps waiting for something. And I think this leans into that sense of pivoting and you're recalibrating towards where it is that you want to go, rather than waiting for things to develop. Ask yourself, do you still want them to develop? Or is this the direction that you want things to go in? Virgo, it's an interesting card for you, actually. Because it does seem to suggest being patient, and it does seem to suggest allowing things to reveal themselves New moons aren't typically the time where we see the growth, but they're the time where we sow the seeds. So just because you're sowing seeds at this new moon does not necessarily mean that they are going to grow within a day. If you want to make new friends, it's going to take time. It's going to take effort. If you want to win somebody over, that's going to take effort too. If you want to change the world, that is going to take time too, Virgo. It's just reminding you of that. I think that the new moon is the time to plant seeds, but it's not necessarily the time where we see everything growing at once. There is a there's a cardinal grand cross coming up, so people may be quite impatient, but just remember that Rome wasn't built in a day and that these things are going to take a little bit of patience. That's what I have for you, Virgo, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Libra, welcome to the new moon in Cancer for your sign. So Libra, this new moon is happening in your career sector. So there might be some new beginnings happening when it comes to your career, when it comes to your public image, when it comes to your reputation, your status, or when it comes to a long-term goal of yours. You might be starting a new goal at this time that is going to take a bit of time to develop. You might be setting yourself some career goals for the year ahead. You might be setting yourself for career goals 6 months from now. But this is a wonderful time to think about what you would like to achieve in the next 6 months, Libra. This is indeed a time to have your mind on your goals and the direction that you're going towards. I do think that a lot of you are going to be very inspired to make big things happen because we do have a cardinal grand cross coming up in a few days after this, and as a cardinal sign you're particularly going to be feeling inspired to go towards something else. Now the new moon does coincide with the changing of the nodes, and that's going to be particularly significant for you, Libra, and any placement that you have in Libra, because the south node is going to be touching it in the next year and a half, and the eclipses may be impacting you directly. So do not forget to check out my video on that, because it will be quite significant to you. But the day of this new moon, you yourself might be feeling very inspired to go towards a goal, absolutely, and set career goals for yourself. But with the south node now on your sign, if you are feeling a little tired, that's okay, because the south node, I say this as a Scorpio with a Scorpio stellium, the south node going over your placements can be quite draining at times. So do take a break if you need to, Libra. So this new beginning in your career sector is going to be opposite Pluto in your 4th house. So I feel like there's a lot of changes going on when it comes to your home, when it comes to your family, when it comes to your living situation potentially. And you're trying to find balance between these new career goals and your living situation, your home situation. So finding balance between your public image and your career and your private life and your family is going to be key. It does feel as though you're having to navigate this new beginning with the changes that are happening in that sector. So perhaps you're having changes when it comes to your living situation, and that means that you're going to have a new beginning when it comes to your career. Maybe you're having to move across the country because your partner is accepting a new job, and so you're looking for a new job, and it's going to require new goals, new ambitions, and a new beginning in your public life, for example. But it is forming a really nice supportive aspect to Neptune in your 6th house, as well as a sextile to Uranus in your 8th house. So I feel like if it is to do with a joint financial matter that these changes are happening, it's well supported. There could be good news when it comes to your property or a joint financial situation. And it could also be that you're feeling quite at flow with the work that you're doing, the habits that you're doing, and you're maybe incorporating a little bit more meditation and Zen into your lifestyle, Libra. Maybe you're committing to a spiritual practice, a spiritual routine around this time as well, in order for you to navigate these changes. And it might also be that there's people in your work, you know, if it's a new job or in your career, there's people who really like what you do and they really support you somewhat unconditionally. You may find with this new goal or this new chapter in your life, Libra. Let's get you a card. We have the 8 of Swords. I do think with this Grand Cross approaching, you might have a bit of anxiety. You might have a bit of fear. And I also see you with the Venus retrograde reconnecting, Libra, with old friends, people you used to work with, people you used to socialize with, people you used to collaborate with. I do see you reconnecting to old contacts. and perhaps bringing in old habits that you used to do that were really good for you from a mental health perspective. And you might find that if you are feeling a little bit anxious, it is a call to get out there and mingle with people or reconnect with old friends, because that might actually help a lot with your anxiety. Sometimes we can feel really down from a mental health perspective, and we don't necessarily feel like we want to reach out to people or connect with others, but sometimes that is the best thing for you. So just a little nod from the cards there, that if you do feel a little bit anxious, do reach out to your friends and do talk to people. So that is what I have for you, Libra. I hope you have a good one, and I will talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Scorpio, welcome to the new moon in Cancer. So Scorpio, I think some of you guys could be taking a trip. We have a new moon in the 9th house, and you could be traveling. Now this can be linked to family too, because you do have a Cancer 9th house, so you could be traveling with family, to see family, for family, or something like that. This could also be a new beginning in your higher education. Maybe you're signing up for a master's, maybe you're signing up for a new degree, maybe you are beginning a new project within your degree, and you're really going to be very focused on it around the time of this new moon. Now there is an opposition to your ruler Pluto in your 3rd house at the anaretic degree. Now Scorpio is fixed sign energy, so whether this is your sun, whether this is your moon, whether this is your rising, but mostly if this is your rising, Pluto in the 3rd house can be obsessive thinking. And when it comes to the way you've been thinking, Scorpio, something needs to change. And this can be, provoked by a crisis that makes you realize that the way you're thinking is not helpful. The way that you're thinking is maybe not even what's really going on. And I don't mean that in a way to discredit your mental sharpness. I just mean it in the sense of, have you ever, and I'm sure you have if you have a Scorpio placement, but if you've ever been worried about something or fearful about something, or you feel very strongly about something, you tend to hyper focus on it, and it can dominate conversations. I find this a lot, I have to say, with Scorpio rising, and I think it is because Pluto's in the 3rd. So a lot of it is to do with the transits. But hyper focusing on a particular, something you want to talk about and you feel very strongly about. And this new moon is saying that, hey, there might be a bigger perspective, or there might be another way to look at this that we'd like you to sort of think about. And that is because Pluto at 29 degrees of the 3rd house is saying, okay, well, we need to change something. We need to transform. And it might simply be that what you're thinking is completely valid, completely fair. You're entitled to those thoughts. But you may want to change the way then that you communicate it with Pluto being in the 3rd house. So you might be deciding, actually, I'm going to start learning about how to communicate effectively. I'm going to start learning about how to debate effectively. I'm going to start learning about how to articulate what I want to say effectively without starting World War III, basically. So you might just be thinking about that a little bit differently, Scorpio. And it's because your ruler is at 29 degrees. You're very, intense when it's in the 3rd house. You're very focused on what you think and what you want to say and all that sort of stuff. And that can be brilliant, because if you're a Scorpio that has never spoken up about how you feel, perhaps this is the time when you're thinking, right, well, I need to learn how to do that. So we're looking to the 9th house, and we're saying, maybe get onto the internet, watch a webinar on this, take a workshop on this, decide that if you're in university and there's electives where you can study how to, be a public speaker or something like that, just think about it, Scorpio, because I will say, with Venus going retrograde in your 10th house, when it comes to your public image, you just might want to focus on being more refined than usual, because Venus being retrograde makes things a little less refined than usual. So you might need to try that extra bit harder to be viewed well in public situations, especially when you're roaring, because it's a Leo 10th house. But nevertheless, I like this new moon. It does have a trine to Neptune in your 5th house, meaning that if you're taking a trip with your children, this could be a particularly enjoyable trip. If you're traveling with a partner as well, the sextile to Uranus in your 7th house, this could be quite an exciting trip. So this looks like a nice trip or vacation or whatever it is that you're doing at this time, Scorpio. Or if you're taking a new course, this could be something that you really love with Neptune being there in the 5th. And you could connect with people that you find really interesting. You could make a new best friend that you find really interesting and a bit different to anybody that you've known before. They could be from a different country or a different religious background, Scorpio. So let's see what your card is. 8 of Wands, absolutely. Some of you are traveling, taking a trip. And you're focusing on your communication. We even have the Ace of Swords underneath where the pen is mightier than the sword. So you might want to focus on your communication, how you're communicating what you're saying, the way that you're saying it, because tone is a big part of communication as well, Scorpio. There could also be changes taking place when it comes to your siblings, when it comes to your neighbours or your neighbourhood as well, Scorpio. So just bear that in mind with Pluto at 29 degrees of the 3rd house. You might be changing the way that you think or communicate, the way that you think about a sibling relationship, or the way that you communicate to a sibling relationship as well. But that's what I have for you, Scorpio. I hope you have a good one, and I will talk to you soon. Bye. Hi, Sagittarius. Welcome to the new moon in Cancer. So Sagittarius, you have a new moon happening in your 8th house. So for you, Sagittarius, this looks like there may be a new beginning when it comes to sharing. So perhaps something that you're sharing with a partner, whether that is your bills, whether that's your finances, property, assets, whether that is to do with your taxes, money you share with the government, so to speak. This can be a new beginning in an intimate relationship as well. Now, it is opposite Pluto in your 2nd house. Pluto is at the anaretic degree in your 2nd house, so there's a lot of changes and transformation happening when it comes to your money, Sagittarius, the way that you make money. This might be an occasion where if you're in a relationship, or if you're married, where your partner's money is becoming is taking center stage here, perhaps because of changes going on for you when it comes to work. Say that you're going on maternity, say that is that you're leaving a job for a while, say that is that you're changing job. There could be a focus on your partner's money instead for some of you, because there does seem to be changes going on for you financially. Now, if it's not to do with money, this can also be a new beginning when it comes to your psychology, Sagittarius. So perhaps you are starting to see a psychologist, you're starting to see a therapist, and you're realizing as you heal that your values change. So perhaps, for example, just give a random one, but say you were starting to work with a therapist and you were doing EMDR and you were reprocessing, a traumatic event or something like that. What you may then find is that your values change depending on whatever the event is that you're working through. Say you had a really traumatic event at work and this has shaped the way that you handle your working relationships, then you're working through it and you find as a result that your values in work change. Maybe you have more confidence, maybe you have the ability to be more self-assertive, or maybe that you expect more from the job that you do, you realize you're being underpaid and you advocate for yourself, or something like that could be going on. There just seem to be changes in your money and in your values, and this seems to be linked to a new beginning when it comes to the money you share with other people, or perhaps new psychological beginnings for you as well, Sagittarius. Which is interesting. So it feels as though perhaps as well you're beginning a new period of life where there's deeper intimacy and deeper connection. And this might be that you're also getting closer to family, because there is a supportive trine to Neptune in the 4th. You may be experiencing unconditional love with someone that you live with, or a family member, or feeling like you're healing the bond with somebody else in particular, Sagittarius. You're really connecting deeply with someone, perhaps even on a psychic level. And there is also a sextile to Uranus in your 6th house. So I feel as though your routines are starting to improve with this new moon. Perhaps you're going to be beginning on something new that is helping you feel better physically as well. So maybe that's that you are, you and your partner are maybe deciding to work out together, or go for walks together, or the changes that you're making in diet are perhaps helping you on a mental health level as well. Maybe you're having realizations about what you eat and how that's affecting your body, and this is helping you feel better overall, Sagittarius. But it might also be that you're supported by people that you work with, colleagues or employees as well at this time, with the sextile to Uranus being in your 6th house. So let's get you a card, Sagittarius, and see what comes up. We have the 9 of Cups. So I'm seeing wish fulfillment for some of you on something, and I think it could be linked to money or something that you can hold in your hands, something tangible, something that you can feel, something that you can touch. It's like you're manifesting maybe something new. Maybe that could be a new job offer, maybe that could be new money coming in, maybe that could be a gift, maybe that could be something, perhaps for some of you it is an inheritance, or it is a loan, or it is a mortgage or something like that, with this new moon being in the 8th house. It could particularly be something that you really want when it comes to your joint finances. So not something that you're buying necessarily on your own. There's something involved, whether that's a bank, whether that's in government, whether that's a partner, but you seem to be manifesting a new beginning when it comes to those things. That is what I have for you, Sagittarius. I hope you have a good one, and I will talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Capricorn, Sun, Moon and Rising. So Capricorn, this new moon is happening for you in your 7th house of relationships. So this is your partner, this is your marriage, this is a business partnership potentially, or a very close relationship in your life. There's a new beginning happening here. So perhaps for some of you, with the sextile to Uranus in your 5th house, perhaps someone that you have been dating, it's becoming more official. Perhaps someone that you have been romantically involved with, you are solidifying the relationship. For some of you, maybe you're getting engaged. Maybe for some of you, you are making it official. Maybe for some of you, you are meeting somebody that is going to be a significant new relationship in your life. And it could be somebody, I will say, with the trine to Neptune in the 3rd house, where you have very good communication, almost maybe on a psychic level if you are meeting somebody new. But if this is your partner, you're maybe communicating on quite a psychic telepathic level, like you're noticing weird synchronicities where you say the same thing at the same time, or you're thinking of them and then they phone. It could be a very psychic connection going on with you and a partner or a new partnership at this time, Capricorn. Whether this is romantically or not, this is a key person that you seem to be communicating with on a psychic level. But there does seem to be a new beginning happening in your relationship. So if you're in a relationship, maybe there is a new start happening for you too. Now, this may be linked to the changes that you are making, Capricorn, because I feel as though with Pluto in your 1st house at the 29th degree, you are ready to let something go. Now, I will say this, for those of you that are not in happy relationships or relationships that have been falling apart for a while, this might be the time when you say, I'm out. This might be the time where you say, I'm ready to let this go. I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to let the changes that I need to let happen, because Pluto is at 29 degrees. It is leaning towards, in the days that follow, a cardinal grand cross involving Pluto in your 1st house and the sun in your 7th house. So I do think for a lot of you that are in unhappy relationships, Capricorn, particularly Capricorn rising, you might realize now is the time to let it go. If it's toxic, if it's unhealthy, if there's a power imbalance, that kind of thing, whether that's your romantic relationship or a friendship or a business relationship, this might be a time when you're thinking, I've changed a lot and I don't think I'm willing to participate in this anymore. So that's for those of you that are in unhappy situations. For those of you that are in happy situations, perhaps the changes that you have been making are requiring you to set better boundaries in a relationship, and that's something that just needs to be negotiated. But I do think with Pluto being at 29 degrees, you've changed a lot, you've transformed a lot, and you're kind of having this deep, profound change right now about who you are, who you've been, and who you want to be. And of course, this plays out in the context of a close relationship, because if you change, perhaps you want different things from your relationship, perhaps you want different kinds of relationships now, different kind of relationships in the future. But this new moon is harmoniously aspecting Neptune, which is a lovely time for letting anything go if you need to let it go, or forgiving if you need to forgive, or healing if you need to heal. Okay, so let's see what we have for Capricorn. Oh, we have two things. The Fool and the 6 of Swords. New beginnings, new starts, moving on from something. So perhaps some of you are deciding you're going to leave behind something that isn't working, with Judgment underneath as well. Or perhaps you're deciding you want to approach your relationship differently. You want to try new things. Maybe you want to take a trip as a pair. Maybe you yourself are going on an adventure. Perhaps you're ready for something new. Perhaps you're now realizing you're ready for a new relationship. And with the sextile to Uranus, maybe it's quite different to what you've gone for before, but you're ready to go forward. Capricorn is the sense. That's what I'm getting here. But as I say, if you're in a relationship, you might also feel as though for the sake of your relationship, you might want to take some time on your own. Doesn't mean it's not the whole Ross and Rachel, we were on a break thing, but it could just be that you want to take a couple of days to yourself or go on a solo trip or a solo voyage, and that is okay, basically, with the Fool. But that is what I have for you, Capricorn, and I will talk to you soon. Goodbye. Hi Aquarius, welcome to the new moon in Cancer for you, which is happening in your 6th house. This is to do with your health and your well-being. So perhaps Aquarius, you are making dietary changes, exercise changes. You have some sort of new beginning where maybe you want to get fit, you want to get healthy, you want to grow muscle, you want to perhaps eat differently. Maybe you're realizing certain foods don't agree with you and you want to make new changes to your diet or whatever it is that you're doing, Aquarius, for yourself. And this seems to be a really positive new beginning. Don't get me wrong. It feels like this is a good new start, especially because we have Mars and Virgo. If you want to make any changes to your well-being, this is a great time to do it. But I feel as though you're coming up against maybe the final hurdle of overcoming and transforming a limiting belief that's in your subconscious. So maybe you feel as though, oh, but I could never be disciplined enough to be fitter. I could never be disciplined enough to stick to vegetarianism, or I could never, you're sort of coming up against this deeply embedded belief, and or maybe even something that you have just absorbed in your life, whether that's from your parents, whether that's from when you were in the womb, as far back as that, Aquarius. But you're sort of coming up against Pluto 29 degrees in your 12th house, this obstacle, this what's hidden, and you're having to incorporate that into the new beginning. So whether that's that you're deciding you wanted to take up running and you're finding that the more that you run, the more that you realize there's emotions coming up. Sometimes runners but they experience runner's cry, where emotions start to get processed through the body as they're running. And you're maybe starting to realize, hey, actually I have these really deeply entrenched beliefs about myself that are holding me back. And maybe holding you back physically. There could be some stuff stored in there that is stopping you from achieving a goal that you really want, Aquarius. And it could also be that you're having a new beginning when it comes to your work. So the work that you do on a day-to-day basis, your colleagues, your employees, and perhaps you're coming up against a fear that you have of maybe working with other people, or maybe you've a fear of being betrayed, backstabbed by co-workers or employees, and you've a new beginning happening in the sector where you're having to address that fear, with Pluto being there at 29 degrees of your 12th opposing this new moon. So I do feel like you're working through some limiting beliefs or some stuff that's stored internally, Aquarius. There's some sense of purging going on from your subconscious. So you might notice that as you start to maybe eat different types of foods, you start to feel a bit differently. You maybe start to notice that you have some beliefs about yourself that have prevented you from doing maybe the sports you wanted to do, maybe prevented you from any kind of goal that you have when it comes to your health, I guess. I feel as though there's this really important link going on between the healing that you're doing internally and how that's manifesting as new beginnings externally for you with the health and the routines that you have, Aquarius. Now there is a nice sextile to Uranus in your 4th house. So I feel like if you're embarking on a new health or fitness goal, your family or your living situation may be supportive in some way. So maybe you've moved into an apartment that has a home gym, or an apartment gym, or perhaps you have now got the room just to make a home gym. Or perhaps your family is saying, you can do it. There's something about family feels very supportive. Your home, your living situation feels supportive to the changes that you're making. It also feels as though with the trine to Neptune in your 2nd house that maybe you can invest some money into this. Maybe you can afford to pay for a gym with a swimming pool, for example, might be important to you with Neptune being in Pisces. Let's get you a card, Aquarius. I do think if some of you are taking up a health or fitness goal, it could be linked to swimming or the ocean, with Neptune being in Pisces, supporting it, and it being a new moon in Cancer. So do let me know. Okay, Aquarius, we had the Lovers and the 3 of Swords. If you have something that you're working through internally, I do feel as though that it is linked to betrayal from someone you loved very dearly in the past. This could be anybody. It doesn't have to be a romantic person, but I think with Pluto 29 degrees of the 12th, there's no way of sugarcoating that you might be purging some deep stuff, and the 12th house can be linked to betrayal. So maybe you're releasing some deep pain at this time, Aquarius. Say for example you've taken up boxing, you're boxing the bit out, and then you burst into tears and realize how hurt you are by something from the past, or a memory pops into your head about someone that hurt you very deeply, and you realize that it's all being moved out of your system by the work that you're doing on yourself. or the events that are transpiring in your work life, Aquarius. So that is what I have for you. I hope you take care of yourself. I hope you have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Aquarius, I actually just want to mention, I just thought of this after I ended your reading, so I don't know what part of the reading you're watching this at, but Venus is about to go retrograde in your 7th house, so you may be, you know, reminiscing on past pains from past lovers, past relationships that didn't work out, or you may also be running into people from your past that you were once romantically involved with, and this could be quite triggering, Aquarius. So I just wanted to give you a heads up for that as well, because I should have mentioned it. I will mention it in the Venus retrograde reading, but these cards are reminding me that if you're feeling a bit hung up on the past, on exes, on past experiences, that's okay. The past, it doesn't mean it's going to happen again. You know, Pluto at 29 degrees, very sensitive in your 12th house. You can feel very fearful of the past repeating itself, very fearful of betrayal, but just know that the Venus retrograde may be bringing some stuff up again so that you can finally heal it and transmute it. That is what I have for you, Aquarius, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Pisces and Pisces rising. So Pisces, this new moon is happening for you in quite a fun sector of the sky. So this is happening in your sector of romance and love and creativity and playfulness and a bit of drama. So if you're bored, this is looking like a good one. So this means, Pisces, that if you're single, there could be a new love on the horizon for you. There could be a new romantic interest. There could be somebody new to date, somebody new to fall in love with. Some of you could actually be falling in love at this time. Now, what's interesting about this is that it is opposing Pluto in your 11th house, and it's at the anaretic degree. So there's transformation happening when it comes to your friendships and your groups, your networks and your teams. So Pisces, if you are dating somebody new or there's someone new coming into the picture romantically speaking, this could be someone that you were maybe friends with before, because Pluto 29 degrees of the 11th, this could be transforming from friends to lovers, and this could be something you have to navigate. Or this could be that maybe you're seeing a friend in a new way, or you're starting to see them romantically, or they're seeing you romantically. But it does look like a new love in your life, Pisces, if you're single. And this could be someone who perhaps, as I say, you were friends with, or you were in the same team as, or you were in the same social circle, potentially. And this could lean into the fact that Venus going retrograde, this could be somebody from the past in some way, shape or form, someone that you have met before in some capacity. It doesn't mean it has to be an ex though. It could be someone that you worked with, or you were friends with, or that you were in the same team as, or someone that maybe you were in, you know, a wider social circle and you didn't quite know them, and now they're coming up as a romantic interest. But it does seem to be that perhaps there's transformation and change happening in your friendship sector as well, and this seems to be connected to the new beginning in your love life. So this could be someone that actually went out with one of your friends as well. I'm just thinking about that. Maybe you're going out, maybe this is a new romantic interest that went out with one of your friends, and that's why your friendship is changing, Pisces. But that's just one possibility of how to look at it. With Pluto being in the 11th, this could also be someone perhaps comes out of nowhere online as well, because the 11th house is usually linked to social media and social networks as well. And so is the 3rd house, and there's a sextile to Uranus in the 3rd as well. So possibly this is someone sending you a message out of the blue, or someone that you run into quite unexpectedly with Uranus being there. It might also be with the trine to Neptune in your 1st house that you really feel good about this. Like, this is someone who maybe makes you feel quite confident, someone who makes you feel very appreciated for who you are, someone who really helps you ramp up the self-love as well. Now, if you're in a relationship, this could be perhaps that there's a new beginning in your relationship by trying to bring more love and creativity into this relationship. And it might be with Pluto being in the 11th house that you guys are having to rework a goal that you have for the future in your romantic life. You're having to change perhaps something that you wanted for the future, the wishes for the future. This could also be for a lot of you a pregnancy that is going to really change your future, because pregnancies do. And it could be that it's changing your future dramatically to what you'd expected, because Pluto in the 11th at 29 degrees, it's going to be a significant change of what you thought the future was going to look like. So this could be quite an unexpected pregnancy as well, with the link to the sextile to Uranus in the 3rd house, unexpected news of a pregnancy. Or maybe it's someone around you is unexpectedly having a baby too. And there could be unexpected news. But with the trine to Neptune in your 1st house, I just kind of feel like you feel good about it. You feel very yourself about it, which I like. Now, there is a growing opposition between Mars in your 7th house and Saturn in your 1st house. So your relationships are undergoing a challenge whereby you are now maybe more mature and starting to see people as being a bit tempestuous in your life, and you're just feeling a bit more reserved with them, and maybe that's firing them up even more. So just be wary about that growing as well, Pisces. You could be feeling quite frustrated with someone who's acting as a bit of an adversary as this new moon kind of passes. But let's get you your card, Pisces, and see what's coming up. Oh, well, that's quite a few. That's 4 cards, so I'm not going to take that. Let's get Pisces a card for this new moon in Cancer. Okay, the King of Pentacles popped up there. So I think we could be dealing with a Capricorn, a Taurus, or a Virgo person. A 2 of Swords popped out as well. I always end up drawing more cards for you. I always draw more cards for you. You could be dealing with an earth sign in your life who is kind of stubborn, who's kind of hard to get through to at times, Pisces. I feel like this is the opposition between Mars and Saturn. You could have somebody in your life who is really hard to get through to, or who feels like that you feel as though they're just making things difficult for the sake of making things difficult, and you're feeling like you have to constantly be the bigger person. So just be mindful of that. Some people are very stubborn, and trying to get them to change their mind isn't necessarily the greatest definition of sanity on your end. You know, if you're constantly going at them to give them a different perspective and it's never changing, maybe just take a step back and be patient with them, because the High Priestess did come out as well. So I feel like just go with your intuition, Pisces. Stay true to your own energy and just allow this opposition to pass, really. You know, make sure you're setting firm energetic boundaries as well. That is what I have for you, Pisces, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.